Hi everyone. Let's take a look at problem 8-5A, which asks us to produce a bank reconciliation and then put together some entries. Okay, now the problem appears before you, but I'll have to scroll for you to see it all on the screen. Pacific Furniture Company deposits all cash receipts each Wednesday and Friday in a nightly depository after banking hours. The data required to reconcile the bank statement as of June 30th have been taken from various documents and records and are reproduced below. The sources of the data are printed in capital letters. All checks were written for payments on account. Okay, and now you can see me move my mouse. We have the June bank statement below. Now I'll scroll a little bit. Let me scroll down a little bit. And so we see various checks, a beginning balance, a new balance. This is as of 6/1 through 6/30. Okay, and down below they also give us the cash account. The balance as of June 1 was 9,317.40, and the cash receipts for the month of June, a little hard to read right there, but that number is $9,565.31. Okay, then if we scroll over to the next page, I'll just scroll, you'll have to bear with me here. Okay, we see that they've also given us some information on duplicate deposit tickets, the deposits in June up here, and the checks written. And then we're also given the bank reconciliation for the preceding month. Okay, and so we have that in front of us as well. Okay, with all of this information, the instructions appear right to the right of my mouse there. They've asked us to prepare a bank reconciliation as of June 30th, and they tell us that if errors in recording deposits or checks are discovered, assume that the errors were made by the company. Assume that all deposits are from cash sales. All checks are written to satisfy accounts payable. Okay, let's get started on step 1. And we have a template set up on the next page. So let me hit Control. Well, actually, I'll leave it right here. We'll go over and look at the template, and we can get started. Okay, now you see the bank reconciliation form in front of you. Let me shrink this a little bit so we can get everything on the screen. I think that's a little bit better. Well, we need to start off with the cash balance according to the bank statements. So if we go back to the data, and we slide up, we see right there to the left of my mouse, they told us that the new balance was $13,091.76. So let's drop that in. Okay, now this template has a drop-down list to save us some time. Then we need to consider what do we need to add to get to an adjusted balance. Okay, if we look at the data, we had some deposits as of June 30th, not recorded by the bank. The first thing that comes to mind when I think of what adjustments we need to add would be any outstanding deposits. Okay, I think up at the top here, if I slide on over, I slide a little more. Okay, we had some deposits, there we are, that weren't recorded by the bank. On the 30th we had 1510.06, and if we look at the data, that 15.010 doesn't show up. Now, the 942 one does on 6/25. It shows up one day beyond when we said we made it, which would make sense, bank processing date, but that's the last one. So again, if I slide over, you could see the 942.71, but not the 1510.06. So we need to add that. Okay? And that was 1510.06. Okay, Then we need to deduct any outstanding checks that the bank doesn't know about. So again, we would look at the list and we would say, well, here's all the checks that the bank knows about, and then we would compare it to our list of checks that we know about, right? And what we typically would expect to see is some of them won't clear. Like, let's look for check 736, I believe. 736 doesn't appear here. Oh, in fact, they even give us a list of the former checks from the month before. 736 is still outstanding. And then we see that some of our last checks, 755, 758, and 759, are missing from this list. Okay, 758 is not there. 755 is missing. See how we skip over that? So 755, 758, and 759. So let's go put those in. Okay, so we had 736. We had 755. We had 758 and 759. Okay, and the amount of each of those checks were $345.95. Of course, this would be easy if you have the other reference sheet in front of you, right? The problem from the book, 272.75, the 259.60, and 901.50. Okay. Now we can simply sum that, put a sum formula in, and we come down to an adjusted balance, which would be equal. Oh, let me put this little formula in here. Let's put a sum right there. So we would say equal the that little sum minus the outstanding checks. So an adjusted balance of 12,822.02. Okay, then we do the bottom half of the bank reconciliation, and here we start with the cash balance according to our records. Let's jump back and see that. They tell us our record is 10,576.87. Now, we have to find on the sheet where they tell us that. Well, they don't actually tell us it directly. We may have to calculate it. Okay, the balances of June 1st was $9,317.40. So let's put a little schedule together. Where should we do this? Let's do it down here. I'm going to slide up and we'll just do a schedule to determine the balance per cash account as of June 30th. Okay, so what we want us to do is we start off with the balance as of June 1st. And I'm going to indent this, and we'll indent a couple of them here, just to come up with this quick and dirty calculation. Okay, from above, we know that that number is 9,317.40 cents. Okay, and we'll format this a little bit. Bring that down. Okay, from there, we would need to add the June receipts, and the receipts are given above as 9,565.31. Okay, to get the June receipts, let's slide up. What we would need to do, we slide a little bit more, is if we add all of these receipts here, we will come up with the June receipts that our records indicate, and the sum of all of these values, these deposits, are $9,565.31. Okay, now I'm not going to go ahead and add that up. I'll just put in the total, and you can check the math if you have the text in front of you. Okay, and then, of course, we would deduct the June disbursements. And again, we're going to get the June disbursements from the checks written that appeared right below the duplicate deposit. Now, rather than me scroll back up, we'll assume I've added them up correctly, and that amount is 8305.84. Okay, so then I can do a quick sum here, underline, and I've come up with the balance per the cash account as of June 30th. Okay, so now that I have that number, we can jot that into our solution template. Okay, so the cash balance, according to the company's records, was the $10,576.87 that we just calculated.